So I did get the nudge to make a video today, and there were a few things that Spirit really wanted me to share that apply to the collective energy in general. And one of those things is that a lot of people are in, I'm not guilty of this all the time, but like getting caught up in what happened in the past, especially the most recent past, like the beginning, the first, all the way up until now, maybe up until August, all those things that we were letting go of, which is basically everybody. Everybody was getting blasted, right? Some people still are, especially if they're still holding on to shit that isn't serving their highest good or isn't going to be able to come with them on this next timeline, basically. Because we're opening up in a whole new timeline. If you haven't realized, that huge purge was just like a clean slate. And now what? We're kind of in that space of, okay, now what? So anyways, what you went through in the past, that was so intentional. It was part of your growth process. It needed to happen. So dwelling on the coulda, shoulda, woulda, the regrets, the resentment, maybe if things didn't go the way you wanted them to go, which they weren't going to, because there's always a lesson in everything. And until we get to that space, like even we'll use a relationship as an example. If the relationship that you may have had to let go of, like think about back when you got into that relationship and where you were then and where that person was then, and see how you both progressed and see why it didn't work out and see the lessons and the gifts and everything else, and just say, I'm grateful. Thank you, Spirit. Like, wow, like I'm such a different person now. Even since I've even for just my personal example, even since I've let go of this thing that I never thought I'd have to let go of, I'm realizing now and learning and growing, and I've learned so much just in the last few months of why and what it needed to teach me, and what were those inner wounds, those childhood trauma wounds that we hang on to or don't even want to admit exist half the time. It really was me working through all that. It really was me coming into my own sovereignty and power and respect for myself, right? Because sometimes we lose ourselves in other people. We lose ourselves in our kids. We lose ourselves in our work. We lose ourselves trying to please our parents. We lose ourselves. And that's what the whole ascension is to come back and find ourselves and really recognize who we are, because we've just been showing everybody what they want to see instead of actually digging deep and being like, wow, I don't even like this thing that I've been doing for the longest, because my dad played sports, so he got me into sports, and then I became obsessed with sports, and now I'm a coach. But what if all that shit got stripped away from you? What if you didn't have whatever that sport is anymore? What if you weren't a coach and you didn't, then who are you? Who are you? People are so attached to this identity that they've created in this lifetime. You're so much more than that. This avatar is just a tool that you're using in order to grow in this lifetime. This character you're playing is just a quick little blip in the grand scheme of things in terms of time and your soul's journey. So if we can really step into that observer space and recognize that, not take everything so seriously, and then just do the things that our soul is calling us to do. Because we are being pulled. If you open up your heart and you stop wearing that armor, that guardedness, that worrying what people think and all that, and you connect to spirit, connect to your higher self, you'll start to be pulled in the direction that that is going to set your soul on fire, that is going to bring the most joy, that's going to bring the most love, right? So if you can do that, you have to be able to let go of the distractions, though, to be able to tap into that. Because if you're busy just scrolling on your phone, running here and there and everywhere because you schedule your entire life out, you're never going to get quiet enough to be able to get those intuitive nudges from spirit to be pulled in the direction of where your soul actually wants to be, of your highest potential timeline. It's sheer bliss, but it's we argue for our own limitations because we're so attached. It's like there's a saying, it's like people will always choose a familiar comfort over I forget the rest of it, but it's like people always choose that familiar comfort. Why? Because they're afraid of anything. They're afraid of thinking like something new or doing something new, or what will someone think, or what will my parents think, or will I lose my relationship if I say how I really feel? So you just live suppressed, like it's just like, what is it for you? You know what it is, or maybe you don't because you're that much in denial. The cognitive dissonance is real when it comes to the healing process. Most people will avoid it at any cost. They will avoid vulnerability. In order to be vulnerable with others, you have to be able to be vulnerable with yourself. So, like, really opening up and admitting what your flaws are, or where your trauma resides, or maybe something that was passed down to you generationally, or taking a really good look at the relationship or marriage that you're in, or your job, and does it really make you happy to wake up and go to this place every day? Or are you looking to be more free and independent? And yeah, you can just take it in a million different directions. But the point of the matter is that I think a lot of us are so stuck in like replaying things that happened in the past or didn't work out, shaming ourselves for it, or wishing we could have done it differently, that we're not realizing like we got a clean slate here, guys. You have a clean slate. Step into your power and get into that creative mode, right? So we have to get quiet, and then we have to balance it with that intuitive action, not the ego's form of action, right? And we really sometimes need to sit down and say, okay, is this an intuitive action that I'm about to take, or is this coming from my ego, where I'm doing it to be validated in some way instead of doing it out of service or doing it out of like sheer joy or bringing peace to yourself, What else do we have here? No more people pleasing, passive, or submissiveness. So when you're aligned with spirit, you know exactly what you desire. So it can be scary though. So you get these intuitive hits and you're like, oh, I love it. It's like that person, I'm partly that, right? It's partly the ADHD too, that I like want to start a bunch of things and not finish them. But where you get all these intuitive hits, you know what it is that you want to do and like what's coming from your heart. But then you get in this freeze mode, like, wait a second, how do I implement this? How do I like get into that inspired action? And if you're not at peace with yourself, you're not going to be able to follow through with all of this shit that you want to do. So that inner peace and really working through the wounds, like the emotions that come up, stepping outside of yourself, recognizing what they are, wanting to integrate and like make a different response to whatever that trigger is or whatever that wound is. Next time it comes up, you're going to respond differently. That's how you heal and create that space in order to come in and create room for yourself to take that inspired action and manifest what you want to manifest. A lot of times I don't even like using the word manifest because it feels so ego-ish, if that's even a word, in the new age spiritual community, because a lot of people are like, how can I make a vision board so I can get all these things? And it's like real connection is like the manifestation is so service, and it's the most fulfilling. There's no amount of money or anything that could like fulfill you in the way that service does. And service is awesome when you're connected, because service isn't just like, I'm going to go volunteer down at the homeless shelter, right? It's so much more than that, because service is you taking what you already love to do, and then how can I share this with the world? How can I share this with my family? How can I share this in whatever way? And so we have to like get out of these boxes of what words mean and what things mean, and really step into a space where we're aligned with spirit and in our hearts, so we know what direction that we're going to be in. And then once we do that healing work, we can step into that new timeline. We can take that clean slate, that blank canvas, and we can make the most epic, amazing experience in just full of expansion and love and just touch everybody around us. Because honestly, that's what we came here to do. All you have to do is manage your frequency. And my dog is going crazy outside right now, like somebody's here or something. Weird. But anyways, I'm going to wrap this up so I can see what's going on. So learn what you can and see the gifts from the people popping in and out of your life right now. That was the last thing I wanted to add, because I've had people pop in and out and in and out. And it's like, why did you just come in for a second and then pop back out? And there were gifts and lessons to learn. And a lot of that is boundaries. A lot of that is, how am I going to operate now when I connect with new people? So also keep that in mind when you are having new people pop in and out of your life. Even if it's just a quick conversation, and then you're like, wait a second, I thought I was going to stay connected to that person, but probably not. It's like, what was that? What was that teaching me? You know, really kind of like dig your toes in the sand and like think about things and why they might have occurred, because we are emanating and exuding this frequency. So things come in so we can see something in us. But anyways, guys, I'm going to go check on my dog. I love you. Have an amazing rest of your day.